the slave ship pitches us into the midst of a feverish dream of catastrophe and terror, sin and retribution. The silhouetted ship, almost engulfed in the erupting spray, is both a real vessel and something cursed and haunted, like the ship of the ancient mariner. Waves seethe with monsters, a kind of obscene, piranha-like nibbling and gobbling. And the oncoming fishy monster is not to be caught off the coast of Jamaica, but off the canvas of Hieronymus Bosch, Hell in High Water. Of course, it has its imperfections, all that flailing flurry of action in the foreground, the mysteriously floating iron fetters, the flung limb that may or may not be detached from its torso. All the frantic, fishy action could seem too fussily staged. In the end, there's only one test that matters. You come into the room, you fix it in your sights. Does it or does it not attack you in the guts? It does. Does your heart jump? Do your eyes widen? Does your pulse race? Do your feet get a bad attack of lead boots? You're so struck down by it. They do. For Turner has drowned you in this moment, pulled you into this terrifying chasm in the ocean, drenched you in his bloody light. Exactly the hue you sense on your blood-filled optic nerves when you close your eyes in blinding sunlight. Though almost all of his critics believe that The Slavers represented an all-time low in Turner's reckless disregard for the rules of art, it was in fact his greatest triumph in the sculptural carving of space. For none of the stormy atmospherics, the great pinwheel fury of reds and golds would have the impact they did were it not for that deep trough Turner has cut in the ocean, which at the centre of the painting makes the blackly heaving swells stand still, as though the wrathful hand of Jehovah has suddenly passed over the boiling waters. For this is a day of martyrdom, retribution, and judgment. But also a scene Turner must have optimistically thought of vindication. It would be a sin redeemed. Slavery would be defeated. There is, after all, a patch of clearing blue at the top right corner of the painting. The critics went to town. Turner became the butt of jokes, a crackpot, old loon lost in the tempest with his ridiculous painting. And its even more ridiculous full title. Slavers, slave ship throwing over the dead and dying, typhoon coming on. Punch magazine joined in the chorus of catcalls, lampooning Turner by inventing a painting with the title "A Typhoon Bursting a Simoon Over a Whirlpool Maelstrom," Norway, a ship on fire, an eclipse with the effect of a lunar rainbow. Punch and all the other high-hat critics miss the one overwhelming point which makes this the greatest British picture of the 19th century. The perfect match between message and form. The payoff of the slave's martyrdom would in the end be freedom. So Turner has given himself glorious freedom with his brush and with his colour and with his imagery to convey the power of the sacred moment. Two years after the debacle of the slave ship, a young Scottish admirer, William Leighton Leach, visited Turner's house in Queen Anne Street. He'd heard that the Turner Gallery was in disrepair, but nothing could possibly have prepared Leach for the squalor.
I walked backwards and forwards in the gallery, feeling cold and uncomfortable. There was no sound to be heard, but the rain splashing through the broken windows upon the floor.
Leach stood in the evil-smelling gloom, and as he peered at Turner's most recent work, among which was hanging, somewhere, the scarlet explosion that was the unsold, unwanted, unloved slave ship, he felt more and more depressed. But this was the moment when the country's favourite painter, once revered as the patriarch of British art, was written off as a senile lunatic. Yet the effect of the critical onslaught is to make it more, not less brave. He's off on his own now, the solitary mariner on a completely uncharted ocean of pure painting. Alongside all these scenes of oceanic turmoil, Turner was still capable of painting images of exquisite liquid calm. but you had the feeling he could do those in his sleep. It's when his whirlpool of paint resolves itself into something weightier and mightier than the entertainment of the senses, when he reaches towards the truths of history and eternity, that I think Turner is at his greatest. That's when he changes, not just British art, but all of art, most completely. And you know, this is why Turner still matters to us, and always will. That old Cockney geezer in his battered hat and filthy coat transports us somewhere where the slick conformists would never dare to go, into the eye of history's storm, into the ocean of light.